Welcome to the Jerusalem Zoo. We're here at the main lake, at the entranceway. Above you see Jerusalem neighborhoods. You see we're at the end of the day. Such a beautiful place, celebrating 30 years of being a zoo. You know, there's a Kabbalah of nature. It tells us a very interesting thing in the Sefer Mitzvot of the Arizal, that there are four main realms of creation. There's the mineral, the plant, the animal, and the human. Now, when we talk about the human, of course, we feel familiar, we feel comfortable. Then we have the animal beneath us, the animal kingdom, and then beneath that we have the plant kingdom, and below that we have the mineral kingdom. These four kingdoms represent the evolution that took place in the 6 days of creation. We call 6 days, but I think they were divine days, because one day is 1,000 years in God's eyes. And the Arizal tells us a beautiful thing. He says that there are certain species in between the kingdoms, between the genus of the mineral and the plant. He tells us it's the coral. Coral is like a mineral, and yet it is also like a plant. It grows onto itself, cell by cell, collecting material from the ocean. It's like a rock, the mineral kingdom, and yet that coral grows to very large shapes, and it lives much more like a plant in terms of its nourishment that it receives from the water. Because as far as I know, the rocks are pretty self-sustaining. You know, they don't need to eat much. But the coral eats, and it grows. So it is both mineral and the plant kingdom. Now we go up a step to the plant kingdom. What exists between the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom? Well, in the Talmud, we have stories about a creature called the Arvad. Now, the Arvad was not a very happy animal. It is an animal the rabbis describe as having a long tail that rooted them into the ground. So they were not allowed to move around. Now, if you notice, in the plant kingdom, trees, vegetables, bushes, flowers, they don't change location generally unless they're forced to by nature or by man. So they're grounded in one place. And then, of course, they move with the wind, etc. But the plant kingdom is grounded. It's not able to move around like the animal kingdom, and of course like the human kingdom. And you could tell the evolution of a species by how far, one of the rules is how far it can move or travel in the environment. So the Arizal says this Arvad is part animal because it's very dangerous and it eats other creatures, which most plants don't eat other creatures, maybe a Venus flytrap. But the Arvad, there's a famous story that Arvad was camped out or living at an intersection, and it was rooted to the earth by this long tail, and it would be able to attack people passing through the intersection, according, of course, to how close the people got to the intersection. So the Arvad became a very dangerous thing to that intersection, and the people said, "What do we do?" Well, of course, you always consult the Kabbalist, and they consulted Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa, who was known as a great sage and a miracle worker. And they went to him, and they said, "Rabbi Hanina, we have this Arvad that's living at the intersection, and he keeps attacking people. It's very dangerous. We can't go there." And the Arvad, not only did it have a tail, it had a hole that it would submerge itself into. It would back into its hole and live inside the hole when it wanted to sleep. And the story goes that Rabbi Hanina went to the place of the Arvad, and it came out and threatened him, and he wasn't moved too much. And the Arvad just saw that he wasn't getting too close either. Eventually the Arvad went into its hole, and then Rabbi Hanina stuck his foot in the hole. And the Arvad came out to bite it. And by biting the sage, the creature died. And then Rabbi Hanina pulled it out of the ground and put it on his shoulder and walked it back to the Beit Midrash, and everybody was astounded by this sight of the sage carrying this animal on his shoulder. And they said, "How is it possible, Rebbe, that you were able to kill the Arvad?" He said, "The Arvad bit me." They said, "The Arvad bit you and it died? Usually it works the other way around." And he said, "Woe to the person that is bitten by the Arvad, and woe to the Arvad that bites Rabbi Hanina ben Dosa." So you see that the sage was at the spiritual level that if any creature attacked it, creature would suffer the consequences, and Hashem would do a miracle. So that's the creature that the Arizal gives us as the animal, part animal and part plant. Now we go up a level. What is the creature? The Arizal says this 500 years ago, or give or take a few years. What is the creature that is part animal and part human? This is Torah. This is Kabbalah. What is that creature? Well, I'm sure most of you would guess that the creature that is part animal and part human is the monkey. And the monkey has features of a human being, and of course it has features of an animal. But it is able to move around like more than most other creatures and range freely in its environment like a human being. So each stage that the animal develops, it acquires more and more human-like features. And we've talked about this before on YouTube, that in the days of the Messiah, the rabbis prophesy that the animals will reach a new higher level, that they will reach a new soul, and then that even the plants will be given a new soul. Everything will be given a new soul and be elevated to the level above it. And the human beings, they're also going to be elevated. That the average human being will be elevated to the level of a righteous man or woman. Very righteous. And then what about the righteous people already in the generation who've reached that level? They'll be given the level of a righteous of the generation, one of the top people who have power over time and nature. And what about the tzaddikim of the generation that are already at the level that have power through their prayer over space and time? They'll be given the level of Moses. And the greatest of the tzaddikim who are still alive in their realm, in Gan Eden Elyon. And up there, what do? There's nothing to do but learn and pray, and of course to bless and to show favor to the Jews that need help in life. And so every part of creation is being elevated as we speak. As we speak, and you see it very clearly. You can go online and see the videos of animals doing wondrous things. Now in that, generally we say in the Kabbalah that there are angels that God assigns to the animals that can cause them to do supernatural things, like save lives of a predator can save a life of its own prey when it's in danger. And we see this many times by dogs and wolves and apes and even snakes. And so all around us, if we just look, you see that creatures are achieving a higher level. I walked outside last night and there were these two cats in our yard. And I'm telling you, it sounded like they were speaking Hebrew. Now, you might say, Avram, please. Maybe I was a little tired. But they made noises, like cats make noises, right? And these are two males, big males, that are obviously sharing the kingdom of the cats in our backyard. because we live out on a mountainside, so the cats just come and go as they wish. And they were literally communicating with each other. And it sounded like they were trying to make out words. Now, let's not go too far. But we know that there are instances where a spiritual entity can communicate through another entity. We see this with the donkey of Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, the father-in-law of Rabbi Shimon, and we have other places in the Torah where animals did achieve a higher level. And those higher levels are going to be given out to all creation as the Messianic era continues and grows and expands with the light of our Creator, because you put the light of the Creator in anything and it goes up a level. We should all be blessed with the light of our own soul, the true soul, the higher soul, the holy soul that is alive in you, waiting for you to recognize it so you can have a great relationship. God bless you all.